The very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast, where I will sit down and converse with the superstars, the overachievers, the masters of our craft. Each episode will be a deep dive into their personal philosophies, their habits, the tools they use, and the secrets to not only their success, but overcoming failure as well.
First, find somebody you can mimic, then find somebody you can stand, and then try to focus on one style until you master that style.
So if you say I can't do something, well, you're absolutely right. But if you say you're going to, you're absolutely right with that too.
People say that you shouldn't define yourself by your work. That is not true.
You know what Dave Farley does when he's, lucky enough to be at the World Equestrian Games? I'm watching other people work.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that enough.
This podcast is for all of you out there who share my passion for the job and the desire to always improve. These interviews will put you in touch with the inner workings of the role models we all want to emulate. So let's get to it.
There's only so many hours in a day, and it's a matter of what you do with them.
Welcome, everyone. Today I'm speaking with Riley Kirkpatrick. As you will hear explained in more detail, Riley was strongly recommended to me by a friend of mine as a potential podcast guest. She was not wrong, and he did not disappoint. We talk about his journey from running a regular farrier practice into becoming the toolmaker that many of you will be familiar with. We also talk about his brief stint in Hollywood on Forged in Fire. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. The whole reason we're here today, a friend of mine, Jordan Levisky, she's from Ontario, about 4 hours away from me. And she came up here, she went to Heartland for the 24-week course, and she did her internship over here with me. She's an avid listener of the podcast, and she said, "Hey, you've got to have Riley on." So that's when I befriended you, and then we had a slot open up to ask you to come on. So I'm really glad that you did. So is Jordan, I'm sure. I asked her years ago, I needed a hand in Florida, and I asked her who from the course to use, and she recommended Shantae, who through a Facebook conversation, like a few back and forths, I ended up buying her a plane ticket, and then we met up and hung out for a week in Florida, and we've been work partners ever since down there. So
nice.
She's got good advice, and I value her recommendations. So hence why we're here.
Nice. Did you go to Heartland yourself?
When I first started out, I apprenticed for 5.5 years, and then once I was running my own business and doing my own thing, I felt like I needed to know more.
Yeah.
And I had a helper from Heartland, and I was just amazed how much she knew. And then I met Chris at a couple clinics. So I went down. I think I've been there, I think it's like 9 times now. So
nice.
I've been quite often. Yeah. They have taught me so much down there. So
yeah, they got a lot to offer.
Yeah, no kidding. Obviously, you've done quite well with your education there. Did you start out with like the full 24-week course, or how did you get your start?
I went to the short course.
Oh, okay.
I kind of had it stacked against me, when I came out. Like, I had to do something with it when I came out. I didn't have a real good education, I guess, when I came out. Like, I had a good education, but I was probably just like a real good helper at that point.
Right. Yeah. So you apprenticed with somebody?
Yeah, I apprenticed with a guy. When I went to school, I already had it lined out to come and apprentice with this guy when I got out. And so I ended up apprenticing with him for, I think, like 6 years or 7 years, man. Like a while.
Oh, okay. And who was that?
It was a guy named Sean Robertson.
You're in Oregon now, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Is that where you did your apprenticeship, or?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I grew up like team roping and stuff, and I grew up around his father-in-law, which he kind of taught me how to shoe horses a little bit. It was pretty cowboy stuff. Like, we were just had like a 5-gallon bucket full of keg shoes, and we were going to just knock some stuff on and get some horses shod. the guy that I apprenticed with kind of urged me to go to school, and he went to a clinic with Chris. And so he urged me to go to Heartland, and it was a great choice for me. Like, I learned a ton there.
Oh, okay. And then, so you apprenticed with him for 7.5 years. Did you develop a business as you were working with him, or you just were with him full time?
I was with him pretty much full time for the most of it, but I was doing my own on nights and weekends. And so I was just like side hustling as much as I could, get horses shod. And I was riding with other guys a little bit throughout that time. Like, so I'd ride 3 days with him and maybe a couple days with another guy throughout the week.
Okay. And then now, what does your practice look like now?
My practice is pretty weird now.
What kind of horses do you do out there?
I just do like a mixed bag of horses pretty much. Like, my majority of my clients are empty nester type deals. Like, they got 2 or 3 horses that they really love and care for, and they just want good sound shoeing on the horse so they can go on their trail rides and such like that. I don't shoe that many though. Like, I'm probably considered a part-timer, I would imagine, at this point in my career. I'm spending a lot of time in the shop making tools and such. And so I've been able to be pretty selective with my horses. And so I've gotten rid of the majority of my clients. They're pretty much just those ones that are going to leave me alone and let me do my own deal and aren't too demanding, really.
Yep. No, that's worth their weight in gold, those ones.
Yeah, I've been able to wheel them out throughout time and then able to get like this like little number of horses, like I'm not doing very many really compared to what most guys are doing around, but it's where my career has kind of taken me, I feel like.
Now, most people will know you by the pictures of the beautiful tools that you post on Facebook all the time. How did you get into that? And then how did that lead to you actually, it sounds like you're doing that more of a full-time thing than the shoeing.
So starting out, I went to Heartland and they kind of opened up my eyes to forging. Before that, I had no idea about forging really at all. I was just in a fabrication state of mind. I grew up around welding and stuff like that, but never forging. So like, I learned that these things were possible. And when I got home, I really wanted to keep on doing these things like forging horseshoes and competing and doing things like that. But you needed tools and such. And I was broke as a joke coming out of school. So I just started making them myself. And they slowly started getting a little bit better, and people started asking you for some. And you want to go to a contest, so you just bring like a bag of tools with you, some extras, or you sell your tools after you're done using them so you can pay for the contest and get back home. And people just keep on asking for them. And so you just like slowly just kind of took over my time. I just kept on making them. And now I'm just here. Like, I just kept on, like, I just always thought of it as like, I'm just going to ride whatever wave comes at my direction if it seems good. And I've just kept on riding this one. And this is just where I've ended up.
No kidding. Now, in competing, I found out you actually competed on the second tier team at Stoneleigh, did you not?
Yeah, on the Cat 2 team for WCB.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to go over there for that.
Okay, right. Obviously, you reached a pretty high level in competing as well.
It's a decent level. Like, obviously, I'd rather be higher. I'm ready to go back to competing here pretty soon and try to keep on going to get to the top levels. But it was a really good learning experience, man. Like, it was huge in my development as like learning what good sound horseshoeing was and what like real competition was internationally. That's like huge to Craig and them.
Yeah. No, those guys have taught many a great farrier, have they not?
Yeah.
The gentleman that you apprenticed with, was he sort of part of this push to do competing, or was that just you came out of Heartland and that was something you knew you wanted to do?
Yeah, he couldn't probably be more against it. You know what I mean? Like, he was, he loved to shoot cold, man, and like nothing against the guy at all. Like, he shoes a bunch of horses and he does what he wants to do. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't totally knock me down on it, but he definitely wasn't trying to build me up on it for sure. But it seemed to kind of like light a fire under me a little bit to compete even more and to prove that I could do it.
Well, that's cool. Now, where did you learn a lot of the stuff for competing? Was it mostly self-taught, or was it like me watching a lot of Craig Tranka videos, or how did that come to be?
There was a local guy that he kind of competed. He was pretty good. He would let me kind of hang out in the shop every once in a while and just learn. So he kept that fire going that I had going from Heartland. His name was Scott Norgard. He would keep me going, and that's what kind of led me into my first WCB competition. And then after I met the WCB crowd, like obviously that just carried it on. I just stayed with that crowd as much as I could and just kind of stayed on the road. And it just kept my education going, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. Now, where you are geographically, are there many people who compete, or is that fairly rare at your end of the world?
It's super rare around here. There's not really anybody. I got lucky and I had one buddy named Kurt Fisk. He moved into the state about 4 years ago, and he'll come over and swing the sledgehammer, and he likes to compete some. So that was a big help. But no, there isn't really like a big group around here or anything. So I've always had to just travel, get on an airplane and go, you know? And so it's been kind of weird that that's changed lately. I haven't been doing that, but that's what I had to do quite a bit. It seemed like once a month or more, I was on an airplane going somewhere, going to a buddy's house somewhere or going to a competition.
Oh, that's cool. Now, lately, is it because of your business or because of COVID that you haven't been able to do that?
I had a kid. We had a baby girl over a year ago.
Well, that would do it.
It was a planned deal. I had got to the apprentice team. I got to the Cat 2 team. And so I felt like I was at a place where I could I had some stuff I needed to chew on anyways on my own practice that I could just hang out at home and just practice on my own a little bit. And it was just a good timing to stay home and watch my baby girl grow up, you know, for the first year, especially to see all those firsts, like her walking and everything. I didn't want to miss those things.
Of course. Oh, that's amazing. So you're able to stay close to home and do your thing there.
Yeah, that's kind of the joy of the tool business is I'm like home a lot. And so I'm really able to experience a lot of the family life. So I really enjoy that.
That's amazing. So through the tool making, I'm sure there have been a lot of ups and downs as far as learning stuff. Who are some of the people who taught you that?
The tool thing probably like it definitely got fired off by Shane Carter. I went to a Shane Carter clinic my first year out of school, and Shane made pretty much like almost every tool besides a rasp that a horseshoer uses, and every shoe for convention that year in like a 2-day clinic. And so he just blew my mind. You know what I mean? Like I really thought I was like, okay, like tools can get better and better because he made such nice ones so quickly. And I was taking so long to make just like piles of crap. So like that definitely fired it off. And he helped me a lot, like of like figuring a little bit of stuff out, you know, and gave me some stuff to chew on. But definitely the biggest guy in my tool mentorship has been Jim Poor. He is,
Oh, okay.
I follow his advice straight blindly because I know he's not trying to lead me astray. He's never trying to take advantage of me. And he has been there and done it.
Yeah. And what is that relationship like? Like, do you just call him or do you go visit? Is he one of those people you flew out to?
Yeah, I've gotten to go out and visit Jim quite a few times lately. So, well, not lately, but like throughout time. So that's helped a bunch. And he's a busy guy, man. Like Jim's hard to pin down. So it's pretty easy just to send him a quick message, you know? And that's about the easiest way
Yeah.
to get Jim to respond back and to get him to give some advice, for at least for me, that I'm usually just shooting him some advice like, hey, is this going to be fully retarded? Should I not do this? Or I'm shooting some advice like, hey, I've been beating my head against the wall for a while. What should I do? Like, and he usually is like, oh man, I've already done that 20 times. This is the direction you need to head in.
Okay. Cool. So I don't know if the progression works the same way. Like as a shoer, you reach a certain level and then you think, yeah, my work's pretty good. And you don't know what the next level is yet or whatever. So you feel good on your own and you're progressing. And then you go to a clinic or something and then you see you have so much more to learn. Now, with tools, when you're sending those out into the world, at what point do you feel comfortable doing that? Or do you ever feel comfortable doing that? Like, how does that work?
I still think it's the same with my shoeing as it is with my tools. Like I'm never comfortable. I'm always like, all I notice is the flaws and all of it. And like somehow I still send it out. It's got to pay the bills, got to do what you have to do. But it's like, if it wasn't for that, I'd probably trash every single one of them.
Right.
It's a little bit easier to get caught up in yourself in the tool world because you don't have any like really big competitions to go and get your like ego knocked back down, and there's no blood involved, right? And there's like no moving animal involved. And shoeing, you could screw up and the horse is going to let you know. He's like, hey, I'm bleeding or I'm super lame now. You caused this.
Yeah, right.
In the
Yep.
tool world, a guy could even tell you like, hey man, this hammer sucks, but you could be like, it's maybe you. Like, I don't know if it's really the hammer. Like, you could completely be blind if you want to. But or you could take the advice and like work on it, but you can be blind all you want. So it's hard, but I try to keep pretty realistic on it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And somebody like Jim, do you send him tools and use him as your ideal for what to improve, or is it the feedback, or is it a combination of things?
Yeah, I've definitely sent Jim tools and had him give me some feedback on some things. I'll send tools to guys like Craig and stuff like that. Some top hands. I'm pretty lucky to be friends with some really good horseshoers. And so I do try to get tools into those guys' hands, and I take their advice very seriously and their feedback. And I try to work on that.
Yeah, gotcha.
There's really nothing new like on tools. You know what I mean? Jay Sharp had it figured out, and Jim has it figured out.
Yep.
So like all we really have to do, like those guys cleared a really good trail. We just have to keep it open. Like, so if you just like don't try to be wicked smart and don't try to reinvent the wheel and just try to follow these good basic guidelines, it's not too crazy hard. I don't think it's a hard thing to do, but it's not a hard thing to understand. You know what I mean? It's just like shoeing.
Right. Once you get the fundamentals. Now, I guess there's also a stylistic thing that you have to kind of add to it. And just like shoeing, you can tell your hammer from somebody else's hammer. I mean, we typically all can. Like once you reach a certain level, how do you decide what sort of becomes your own style? Because I'm sure in some ways you don't want to fall into that trap of plagiarizing somebody else's design. I guess that's a concern, right?
Yeah, it's like a slippery slope, huh? That it's a hard thing in that I don't fully think we can own a design. Like obviously we kind of do, right? Like you look at a hammer and you'd be like, that's a Jim Poor style. Or you'd be like, that's a J Sharp style.
Yeah.
Like you kind of key to like, okay, that's like a Brian Brazil style. But to me, it's not plagiarism if a guy's doing it himself type deal. Like he's pouring his heart and soul into it, right? It's not really fully plagiarism. To me, it's plagiarism when like there's kids in some like little Asian country, you have little kids making these tools in a sweatshop. Like that's borderline and plagiarism stuff, and like not good things happening.
I've seen that on the walls of some supply stores for sure.
Yeah, and like to me, that's where it's like, okay, like that's hitting the plagiarizing line. Like where if you guys are going to go after guys for plagiarizing, Brian Brazil would have his hands full because everybody's making that style of hammer almost, but that's in their mind, that's the mark on the wall. So it's just like us with shoeing, we all want to make a sweet shoe like Craig. When you see Craig post a sweet plane stamp, you're like, that's what I'm after. So I'm kind of the same way with my hammers, that when I see a sweet hammer, and that's kind of the cool thing right now is there's a ton of hammer makers out there. And some of these guys are making sweet work and they're really pushing the bar. And so when I see something like that, it inspires me to like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add this little twist to it. I'm going to think it's going to be a little bit cooler. But I still have to stick to the same fundamentals of like handle has to be pretty much in the center. Faces have to be parallel, You still have to have enough wood in the eye so it can handle being hit on things. Like it still needs to have all the basics, but you can have some artistic liberty in the middle. And I think that's where like a lot of the style comes from, even if it kind of bumps into somebody else's style, it's still you. And it's still like, or mine, it doesn't matter if me and Jim Poor each made the same hammer, where we each use the same fullers and we each use all the same tools to make the hammer. You could tell like, oh, Jim made that one, Riley made that one. Like, cause it still has each of us in them.
Yeah.
And so like, it can't be plagiarized, like, cause it's you completely.
Yep. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Cause I see guys post things that are like close to mine, and I'm like, oh, what the hell, man? Like, I worked really hard to figure it out, but then I kind of have to take a step back and be like, okay, it's not mine, it's theirs, and it's in the bottom, it's not going to affect me. I'm still going to sell my tools, and it's not going to take any food out of my mouth. So let them do their thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's a big enough world. I think we run into that as shoers too, right? Like when you butt up against another competitor and you think, "Oh man, I lost that client or whatever," but there are always more, and there are tons of farriers who are breaking tools all the time or wearing them out.
Yeah, man. Like, I feel like the main thing we got to remember is just try to be a good person. If the person deserves to be ran down, well, that's one thing. But if they're a good guy too, man, let them take their turn on the customer, and it'll probably come back around. If it doesn't, well, there's another one around the corner.
Yeah, and I guess even with the tool makers, that's another interesting thing is your personality is your brand. I mean, your tool is your brand and how well they hold up and everything else, but who you are gets kind of built into that too, doesn't it?
Oh, huge. I definitely think so. Like, I guarantee there's guys out there that won't buy a tool that has my brand, because they don't like me as a guy. And they probably there's guys out there that's not going to buy a Jim Ford tool. But there's guys out there, like, they really like what the guy is doing and they enjoy his lifestyle. And so they're trying to support it or be a part of it in a way. That's just how it is. That's how I am with buying things. Like, I'm still trying to support people where I
Yeah.
like their whole entire lifestyle and what they're about, not just their one thing. So I try to remember that pretty hard. Sometimes I slip up, but I try to remember it.
Yeah. And obviously, social media is a pretty big way to market yourself in this day and age. Is that something that you had to work at, or did it come naturally to you? You said computers aren't your thing. For me, honestly, social media is something I've always kind of struggled with, but I am learning.
Yeah, social media has been huge for me as far as sales. I pretty much run all my sales through Facebook.
Oh, really? Okay.
It has been a hard thing for me to learn as far as, like, it has to borderline being business, but still being your personal page and still being you. And you don't want to take that out of it. You don't
Yeah.
want it to just be a straight up business page. At least I don't want mine to be. Like we were talking about, I want my personality to be in there. But there is things like you kind of just got to step back on a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I bet there's nobody could really say what my political agenda is, or anything of that, because I don't really think it matters as far as my Farrier tools is what I'm trying to go about. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter in my daily life to me that much. I'm just trying to push my education further and what I'm doing with my hands. And so that's what my page is about. And so I try to keep it that way. Social media is rough on some people personally, but I think social media keeps me straight some ways personally.
I completely get what you're saying. I actually, in looking through yours, I did notice that there isn't a political bent or anything to your posts. Your personality definitely comes through.
Yeah.
That aspect of it where I'm sure it can turn people off or put them in your corner. But sometimes I wonder, with some people, I think it might have their business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut out 50%. Like it might create some real loyalists, but at the same time, you might really disenfranchise some folks
Oh, for sure.
and never gain their business.
Yeah, and that's okay because I don't want to hide myself too much. You know what I mean? Like, in person, I just am who I am. I don't really fold myself back whatsoever. A lot of guys have met me at competitions, stuff like that, conventions, and I just am who I am. And I'm not trying to be rude to anybody or else. You know what I like? But like, that's probably one of I feel like my better traits. I'm an honest guy. I would never say anything behind someone's back that I wouldn't say to their face. I just try to keep my Facebook as like, it's an education thing a little bit. You know what I mean? Those are the pages I like following or pages that I'm learning from. And so that's why I try to keep my pages like mostly learning and just about sharing good parts about life. I slipped some stuff in there. You know what I mean? Like, I posted some hunting stuff not that long ago, and like Instagram, I lost like 1,000 or 2,000 followers over the hunting posts. But
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah, but that's just, it is what it is. I don't feel like that's bad either way. You know what I mean? It's just who I am.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I get that. One thing I wanted to ask you, kind of related to the style question that I was asking you, how did you come up with your logo?
I live in the middle of a rainforest. We have trees everywhere. It's just trees. It's just a thick canopy of trees. And so it was just a given almost of like an anvil and a big pine tree.
That's awesome. Yeah,
And I had a graphic artist do it, and she kind of like took some liberty with it. Man, I think she knocked it out of the park. Like I really like it. It speaks of my home area, it feels like, and what I'm doing. So like that's kind of what a logo should be, huh?
yeah, for sure. It's definitely you. So mine is very similar to yours except that mine, the roots are like below the anvil.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I had drawn that years ago and started screen printing my own, like old school, to make work shirts and stuff.
Nice. Nice.
I had this woman who was helping me with marketing, and she hooked me up with a graphic artist, and they were trying to come up with some logo for me. And my mother actually said, "I don't think you should change that. Like the one you have is you. Like that's what you had created." And I kind of get the same feeling with yours. Like
Yeah.
for some reason, it's just a symbol, but it reflects who you are in a way. And so I'm really glad I ended up sticking to my guns on it. But it's admirable, and I whenever you see that on your hammers, it's pretty cool.
It's always kind of like it's a hard thing because like I want to put my name on them too. So like then way down the road, people that don't know the logo, they would know the name and like they could look up a name hopefully. But I do like the logo. It's a clean look, I think. It fits in the hammer.
Well, it's interesting because I was told, because I really thought that, you know, in a lot of my stuff, I just used the logo. And I was told that I wasn't Apple. But I think we're in a small enough world that we do become that. Like, you become recognizable. Like, as soon as I see that symbol, I know you made that hammer.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And it's just the same as most of the tool makers. You see, like, most of them don't have their name, it's a stamp of a certain symbol, and you just know that's them. They are the Apple, right?
Oh yeah.
I think we're in a small enough sort of world that I think we could become those things,
Yeah, I agree.
at least to each other, anyway.
Yeah, yours is sweet though too because like I don't know how much you know, but like old blacksmith shops, that's how they were chosen, is if they had a good rooted stump.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they'd build the shop around it.
I didn't know that originally. For me, it was like the roots, the tradition, and knowing the fundamentals, and then that
Yeah,
holding up the anvil. And then I discovered that later. And so it really fit.
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting piece of history. So, something else I was going to ask you about was your experience. You were on Forged in Fire, were you not?
Yeah, I got to go do that. Man, I think that was like 2 years ago now.
Oh, wow. Time flies. And what was that like? You did really well on it, from what I recall.
Yeah, I'm pretty rough on myself, man. I was first loser. You know, like the guy did really well with the guy that won, and so but it's still like it was an all right experience. It was different. It's not my crowd, I guess you should say. Like it just felt pretty fake, the whole entire thing. I'm not saying that it is fake, but like they try to control everything they can outside of the forge. Once the fires are lit and they have you in there forging, like they can't fake any of that and they really can't control any of it. But they can try to control everything else outside of it for sure. So that was a really weird experience.
Yeah, because they're always trying to create backstories and drama and stuff like that, are they not? Like that's how I've heard it described in other shows that are reality shows.
Yeah, for sure. They are trying to push every envelope they maybe could. You're wondering, like you're hanging out with all the other people on the show, and you're like, man, does that guy really hate me? Like, what is he really thinking about me? Like they were asking some pretty weird questions about that guy. Like you're really starting to question everything about it. You remember, like, all right, this is a TV show. They are out to try to do this. Just chill out. It's a weird.
Go get strung along.
Yeah, it's a weird experience, man. It really gets fluffed up, like they want you to make it, but it's like bitter roots about it. Like the green room was a minivan, and it was all pretty weird experience. Like, it was not all like glitz and glamour you would think it was going to be.
No way. And now, would they fly you across the country to participate?
Yeah, they did. So they flew me from Oregon out there. We did the contest, like the first part of the contest, and then they fly you back home. And I was going to do the part where you forge a sword at home and then you go back. And so I did that part, and it happens really quick. Like, I think I was home for like 1 day before we started the filming at my shop.
Oh, wow.
And then they fly you back for like the final testing of it and everything. And so when they fly you back, they just like,
Okay.
they leave it up to you to get your sword back there. And so I'm like waiting at JFK airport with this like 3-foot sword, sitting out waiting for their guy to come pick me up. And like, I'm pretty sure in New York City, you're not allowed to have a pocket knife. And I'm standing there with a sword and a tube.
Right.
Like, just waiting to get picked up. It was not that great of an experience. It was pretty weird. Like, I'm glad I did it for sure, but I was like, man, this could throw us south really quick.
No kidding. You're probably the first person ever who was like, come on, somebody try and mug me.
Yeah, I would get bloody.
Somebody's real bad day.
Yeah, I still have it at home. Like, I have the sword. Like, since I lost, you get to keep your weapon. And so like the sword's just like out in my living room. And I always think like, this would be the perfect thing to grab. Just like, no one would mess with the guy with a sword.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you question his sanity first, and then you just wouldn't stand anywhere near him with that kind of reach. Yeah. So that kind of experience, would you ever do that again, do you think? Or was that enough for you?
I think it was enough for me. Like, it kind of taught me a little bit. I think it was good because it taught me what I'm into, maybe. Because before that, I maybe thought like, oh, maybe I'd start like a YouTube channel or something like that, but I just don't think I like being on camera or anything. I'm a pretty secluded guy for the most part. So I just don't think it was for me.
That's interesting.
Like, I really like competitions for sure, but I don't like the camera thing. I don't like having to like reset up multiple times and act like it was the first time again. It just screams
Yeah.
fake to me. And life is short enough. Let's not keep replaying it.
No kidding. That's cool. So you come back home and you're working in your shop. At what point did you decide, okay, I'm going to start calling clients and really focus on this tool making? Like, was it a sort of a leap of faith kind of thing, or was it pretty easy to decide that was the direction you needed to head?
I let it wash over me and drown me, like, completely. So, like an idiot, I started accepting orders. And so guys is like, well, I want a set of tongs. I want a fuller. And I'm like, okay. Well, I would just take the money and put it like in an account, and write on my calendar. And I would know like, oh, well, it takes me a day to make this. So I would give them a wait time when they told me. And I got in over my head of like a year wait time, and people are like still sending me the money. You know what I mean? And so, but it's like, I'm way in over my head.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any of the money until I'm finishing the tool or anything, but it's still, no matter what, if a guy tells you I'm cool with a year wait time, expect to hear from that guy 6 months down the road. He's going to ask you, how's it going? If it's done, where it's at. And at 7 months, he's going to start getting pissed off. And so like, I let the tools consume me completely. I had a huge wait list that I had to get done. Like, it ruined me. I felt like it taught me how to make tools quickly. It taught me how to make tools efficiently and not screw up very much. And it taught me a little bit about business and how I want to live my life. And it wasn't like that, but it did get my foot in the door. Yeah, very, very well. And it got me a good amount of income to be able to buy more supplies and tools to build my tool business quickly.
and just make it more efficient that way. Like with the shoeing part of it and doing that, are you saying that you basically kind of got to the point where you were working crazy hours and
The shoeing wise, it was kind of nice because I knew I needed to be in the shop. Like no matter what, I had to go to the shop. Any free time I had. There was no mowing the yard, no doing none of that. Like you just had to be in the shop. And so if a client kind of gave you any wrath shoeing wise, it'd be like, well, I'm just going to quit you and I'm going to go to the shop because I need to be there anyways. And I have it worked out hourly that if you give me too much pressure, like I'll make more money in the shop. So it's worthwhile quitting you. And so like, I think it cleaned up the client list pretty quickly. And it made it easy because I knew I had other work. Like I understand like some farriers have to deal with bad clients because there isn't another option. Like I had another option. The
right?
shop was right there and I could go and I had orders to make.
That's cool. And so basically your plan B became plan A.
It really did. I accepted it, you know what I mean? I could have just kept on shoeing horses and bad horses. And like the main thing is you gotta remember is like you can get hurt doing anything, but horses will kill you. Like they just will. And so
Yeah.
if you have to do a lot of horses, no matter what, you gotta do some horses that are bad. And I just didn't want to do bad horses. And so like
Yeah.
tools were just a little bit safer.
Yep. I hear you.
And on top of that, it's like trucks and stuff like that. Like they're expensive, man. Like you know how it is. Like
Yeah.
there's so much less. The mileage on my truck went way down yearly when I started doing tools over just shoeing horses.
Right. Because I'm sure you were also picking clients based on proximity too, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but no matter what around our area, you gotta drive a little. Like it's just kind of how it is.
Right. Now your shoeing business now, I guess this is a perfect place for you to beta test your newer tools, right?
A little bit. My shoeing clients now are like, man, it don't take much to go out for the day of shoeing. Like I can whip through them pretty quick and easy. They're all like almost resets almost every single time because it's just these people like barely riding around in an arena. And so it's like,
Okay.
people would be pretty embarrassed for me if they saw what I was shoeing with daily. It is definitely not new and good tools. Those get sold. The tools in the rig are pretty gross. They are not good tools at all.
The mechanic's car is always the one that runs so poorly.
Oh yeah, like I'm using probably like mustad tongs and stuff, like a bunch of random tools to get through my day. But it's the way it goes.
Gosh. Now, do you do handmaids for your day-to-day stuff, or is that just keg shoes for now?
Yeah, so I am just handmaids. I've thankfully just where my life's kind of led me, I haven't bought a keg shoe for a client. So all my clients have always been handmade since school. Just because like when I left school, I knew I needed a bunch to work on forging. And so I just made handmaids all the time for my inventory. And I just kept on with that. And then now, even when I'm kind of busy in life now, I have so few clients. It's still pretty easy to just keep my inventory up. And I have the shoes in the rig form and everything. And so it's just easy to keep on top of. And it's good for me to stay sharp on my forging skills. And the shoes last forever, you know what I mean? And they're just better to nail up.
Yeah, for sure. So, are you using mostly concave?
No, I mostly use just 3/8, 3/4, 3/4 fullard shoes, toe clipped fronts, quarter clipped tines.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty basic.
Yeah, not many people who do handmaids all the time are knocking out 3/4 fullards.
Man, I'm super cheap. Like I am the Farrier Supply House's worst client. Guarantee. I love my local supply house guy. Like Valley Farrier is the dude. He's such a cool guy, but I buy nothing. I buy like some nails and some rasp throughout the year. And I look at the price of bar stock for like concave. It's just like, I can't do it. I just can't. I'll go ahead and fuller it. I know that's rough, but that's how I've gotten to where I am.
Hey, whatever works. So, and in time wise, like if you're knocking out 3/4 fullards, do you just spend a certain amount of time in the shop? Like, what does that routine look like? Is it once a week, or how do you schedule in making those shoes? And then how long does it take you to, say, make a pair? How have you worked that out time wise?
I'm in the shop every day. I'm always going to be in the shop. So I just go ahead and like try to work in the shoes if I need to. So at this point, I'm not practicing for a contest really or anything. And I'm just shoeing the horses that are on my books, which isn't very many. Say I go to the horse, I notice like, all right, Trigger has are kind of wearing down on his shoes. And so I write down on my whiteboard inside of my rig that he's going to need a set of shoes soon. And so I try to keep a new set of shoes for every horse on the books, pretty much. That I could shoe pretty much any, like if a horse lost a shoe, I could show up and just nail a shoe on. The client doesn't have to wait for me to make a shoe or anything like that. I don't want the client watching me have to forge shoes. If they do, like if situation arises, it happens. But I would like to just show up, and if the shoes are worn out, I can just pop on a new set, and I know I use that set, so I just throw it on the board that I need to make a set of shoes when I get time.
Okay.
And so if I'm in the middle of making hammers and such like that, and I know like, okay, well, I got 15, 20 minutes and the fire's already rolling, I just grab some bar stock and just throw them in the fire and just try to crack out a pair.
Okay.
Contests have taught me to be super efficient. I'm able to make a pair of 3/4 folded shoes pretty quick and easy at this point. And they're really good practice. 3/4 folded shoes is just like really good practice, I feel like. So
Yeah, no kidding. And then what does your daily routine look like just for the shop? Like when you're making tools, do you make them in batches? Are you just basically covering orders, or how does that work?
at this point in my life, I almost wake up like new world every day. So I got my horses that are on a 6-week basis, and I don't do too many stops in a day. It's like 2 stops in the day are gonna about max it out. And so I always start about 10. And so I'm able to spend, if I need to get something done in the morning in the shop, I can, or if I'm just having family time, or if I just need to get something done around the house, I can get it done and then head to my horses. And then I still get home at a reasonable hour where I can have like a late lunch with the family and then go back out to the shop for the rest of the afternoon. But if I don't have horses, I just hang out with the family for a little bit in the morning, drink some coffee, and then I head out to the shop for the rest of the day. And the shop's at the house. And so I'm pretty much just out there, and I get to do whatever I want at this point, whatever just strikes my fancy pretty much. I really enjoy that. I've worked up to a point where I can thankfully sell things that I make. And I kind of know what people want a little bit. Like I know if I make a 2-pound or 2 1/4 pound rounding hammer, I'm going to sell it if it's like within the realms of a decent looking hammer. And so if I want to make something different or a different style, I just go ahead and do it, and I post it for sale afterwards, and hopefully somebody else likes it and it goes away.
Right. When you're trying something new, you're probably at the point now where you won't go too far out of the realm of doable. But when you do stuff and you are kind of pushing an envelope one direction or another, do you still experience those tools where you're like, oh man, I got to chuck this in the scrap pile. I can't use this, or I'm going to have to repurpose it for something else. Does that still happen, or was that a big part of the learning curve in the beginning, or is a lot of stuff salvageable once you have the basics?
It definitely still happens. There is still a pile of crap tools out there that I just couldn't get through, or you kind of hit a point where you know it's not going to happen. But thankfully, like which is like making shoes, you saw it happen. You know what I mean? So you're like, okay, this point is where things went awry.
Yeah.
Like I should try to maybe backtrack, go to that point again, and maybe go the other direction because this wasn't working. But for the most part now, it's like I still have a ton to learn, but I've seen enough things happen and I've listened to enough people that are ahead of me in life to realize somewhat of the boundaries of metal. There's still a lot of playing you can do within those boundaries, but you kind of like respect those boundaries somewhat. And they'll lead you to new things too.
Right. So I don't want you to have to give away any secrets or anything, but could you name like an aha moment that you've had, either the shoeing or with tool making, that kind of stuck out to you and changed your trajectory a bit or drastically?
I don't have any secrets. Like one, like it's just I just don't. Everything's straight out there. You know what I mean? Like it's just super. I'm not a smart dude. I just like keep banging my head against the wall. But definitely one of the things that like hit my like with forging in general is don't be afraid to go over things more than one time. That was so hard for me to grasp, and it's still hard for me to grasp. Like I remember trying to learn to make a heel, and I just wanted to hit each corner one time. I didn't want to have to go back to the sides. I didn't want to flip it back over. I thought if I had to do that, like I'm failing really bad.
Right.
Which in reality, you just got to do that sometimes. And sometimes that's how things get smoothed out. If you're making a branch, you're trying to make a nice section, you have to go over that and make nice overlapping blows multiple times. Don't try to just do it once and get everything done. That's how things start looking chunky and nasty.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with making hammers. Sometimes you just got to like slow down and go over that step 2 or 3 times. It's going to be okay, and you're going to get a nicer finished product.
Right. No, that's actually a really good one. I'm still trying to figure out that lesson myself.
It's a really hard lesson to learn because we like to do things that feel good as humans. And so if you get to a spot and you're like, man, this feels good and it's easy, I'm going to do this really hard, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to quit doing this hard part, where it's like, that's kind of like ties into it, that we do it too much or too much too quick, of like, we just smash the crap out of it. That's what usually ends up happening, where it's like, you just back off, man, and just like make some overlapping blows, you know, and take things in moderation. Don't go ham all at one time.
Yep.
You can slowly drink beers throughout the day, but like you wake up and just smash a case, like the day is ruined.
Good analogy, I guess. So where do you go from here? What's your sort of next step?
I would like to jump back into the competition ring here soon. Like I need to just get into shape again. It's a super athletic deal, and I'm not super in shape for that type of thing right now in my life. So I need to get back in shape, get practice back up, and I would like to someday make the top teams. You know what I mean? Like WCB team is obviously a goal for anybody competing, it seems like, and it'd be nice to make the AFA team someday. That's what the greats in our trade have kind of done. I feel in our horseshoeing trade, man, if you have made the top teams and you're making tools that everybody knows, like, you're doing all right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Someone's going to remember you, maybe. And that's all most of us are trying to do, is like get our foot in the door, you know, and do something for our trade.
Yep.
That's just where I'd like to kind of head. And so I still have some learning ahead of me to get there. That's all I'm trying to do.
That's cool. So I guess we should backtrack a bit. What first got you into shoeing?
Just, man, so it's like I'm highly unemployable as far as like working for somebody. I started working pretty young age, and I worked like the normal like jobs, like gas station, baling and bucking hay and stuff like that. And then I kind of got into the metal trade because I didn't want to do what my dad did. My dad was a commercial fisherman, and it was like in our state, you're either going to go do that or you're going to be a logger. And I didn't want to do either one of those things. So I just kind of stuck with the metal sides of things. And I realized that I wasn't a very good employee and that I didn't want to work for other people. And so I was kind of hanging out with these guys team roping, and most of them are farriers. So it's just like, man, that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go shoot some horses like the rest of these guys. And I'm just going to run around and go to jackpots and rodeos and shoot a couple horses. It's going to be great.
Yep. And then the story begins. That's pretty cool.
Then I went to Heartland. Like, I remember telling my wife before, like she was just my girlfriend at that point, that before I went to school, I was like, these guys are going to try to change my mind. They're going to try to get me to forge shoes and do all this stuff. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm going to come home and I'm going to shoot cake shoes. And I'm just going to go do this. And I'm going to go to roping. Man, like my life definitely changed when I went to Missouri, for sure. Like, it has not been the same since then.
No kidding. So can you pinpoint the moment that you were sitting there watching either Cody or Chris do a demo and you were just like, wait a second, I've got to change some things?
It was the very first day. They shot a horse, and it was like, whoa, we have been doing things really wrong. Like, we have not, what I haven't seen has not been very good. It's like a slap in the face. You grow up around horses and you think like, I know this thing. I know this animal inside and out. And then all of a sudden you realize you know nothing about it. Nothing.
Yeah.
It was just awakening.
Yeah.
It was just that first day that's like, there's more out here, and this is something I'd like to achieve.
Yeah. No, they have a tendency to do that, and every time I go back, I find I have that moment again where I'm like, oh man, I thought I was getting somewhere, but there's so much more.
It's the weirdest thing in the world, huh? It's like someone just smashed you on the head and got you to the lowest low, and then it slowly brings you back up a little bit, just enough for you to come back for more. Like it's just like it's a
exactly
weird experience in life, but it's that type 2 fun. You know what I mean? That it's never fun in the moment, but you look back later and you're like, oh, that was a good time. I think I'm gonna do it again.
Type 2 fun. I think that should be your quote from the podcast title or something. That's awesome. Well, would you like to do the short answer questions?
Sure, man.
This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tectorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. Enjoy. Are you a reader?
Yeah, I am.
And do you have a favorite book?
Yeah, does that have to be like horseshoeing wise?
Nope, no, it doesn't.
A book called Freedom's Forge. It's about America gearing up for World War II and like everybody coming together and making things happen.
Oh, cool. I'm going to have to look that one up. Freedom's Forge, you said, right?
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Do you have a favorite brand of work boots?
Yeah, like I like wearing Danners. They're an Oregon-made boot. They're kind of a logger style boot, but they're a well-made, American-made boot that hold together for a while.
Okay. Do you have on the rare occasions that you go to the Farrier supply, what's your favorite make of Rasp?
It's either a Bellata Top Sharp or a Heller XL.
Okay. What is your dream Farrier rig? Do you even have one at this point, or is it a dream shop instead?
Man, I'm pretty close to my dream shop at this point. I do have a dream Farrier rig, like an old panel, like a Chevy panel rig, an old hot rod. Tricked out on the inside would be pretty sweet.
Okay, yeah.
I don't have to drive much, so gas mileage does not matter to me.
Right. Style is all that counts.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
This one would be maybe redundant, but other than your own, what's your favorite rounding hammer?
It would be a Jim Poor, or it'd be Andy Reeder Smith.
Okay.
I don't use my own very often.
That's funny. I think you might have already answered this, but what's your favorite type of bar stock to work with? Like favorite dimensions?
3/8, 3/4.
Okay. Figured you would say that. What's your favorite pastime after work?
Hunting or fishing.
Well, you just lost like half of our listeners, but that's okay. No,
yeah,
just kidding.
It's a weird world. Like, tell you how much they hate hunting while they're eating a steak.
Yeah, right. Yep. What's the next thing on your bucket list? And I guess maybe you said that too.
Shoeing wise would be to make the WCB team, and then I have bucket list like personal wise. I'd like to go like hunt Alaska. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And you'd have to go through Canada first.
Yeah, man.
Do you ever end up putting pads on the ones that you're doing? And would you use leather or synthetic?
Yeah, if I'm going to put a pad on, I'd go with leather.
And what's your favorite type of horse to work on?
Probably a draft horse, a Clydesdale or a good Shire.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, if they stand good, they're good to do.
Okay. What's your ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day?
Oh, like one. Ideal, man. Yeah, make all the money on one horse, go home. Make that baby spanking.
Right.
Good shoe job. Go home.
Do you have a favorite anvil?
Yeah, hey button.
A hay button. All right. And do you have a favorite inspirational quote?
Don't suck. I'm pretty sure that's a Craig Trinka. Just don't suck.
I could totally hear him saying that. What's your preferred social media platform?
I like Facebook.
Yeah.
It's more education. There's more actual knowledge there.
Yeah. Do you have injury insurance?
I do.
Okay. And what do you use as your planner or agenda?
I have like Google Calendar or whatever. It's like attached to my iPhone, and my wife pretty much lines my life out.
That's a good way to go. Your favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
Stretching. Just try to stretch it out. Try to rest it if you can, and ice it.
Now, have you found with turning to focusing on the tools, have you found that certain parts of your body ache more than when you were just shoeing?
Yeah. When I first went to just tools, before I had a power hammer, I pretty much like blew my shoulder up, like my whole right arm was just toast. And I'm still kind of dealing with that a little bit.
Just swinging the hammer so
Yeah, and
much.
swinging too big of a hammer and probably getting tired and not swinging it real correctly, just being not good to yourself.
Yep. We all get there at some point.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite brand of jeans?
Yeah, it's Wranglers.
All right. Like every Farrier
Yeah.
out there. Favorite drink?
Like alcoholic or non?
Either way.
Like I like gin and tonics.
Your
But if
choice.
not, water's pretty good for you.
It's just one or the other. Yeah. And do you have a favorite genre of music?
I listen to everything from some like pretty ghetto rap to backwoods country stuff, man.
Okay, cool. I kind of figured from Oregon you would say that. Do you work out?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Do you meditate?
I guess, man, you could say that. Like, I'm an Oregon kid, so yeah. Most of us are probably in the state, eh?
Yeah. Right.
We're not far from you guys.
That's true. Yeah. I can tell. What would you have been if not a farrier?
I'd probably be a logger or a commercial fisherman. There's not much else to do.
Quite unhappily, but yeah. And then if you were to be stuck, say another pandemic ran through and you were shut down for a month, who would you rather be stuck in a shop with?
Oh, like shop-wise. Like not family.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, most of the guys from the WCB that I've spent times with, like buddy Andrew Nielsen or Craig, or there's a lot of those guys that you could spend a week with them easy and it wouldn't feel like a week because you would just be working away. All of a sudden, time would be up.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Cool. Well, I can say that Jordan did not send me astray on this recommendation again, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, Riley.
No problem, man. Thank you for putting these things together.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of fun for me, and it's great hearing the stories of people like you, and it's been a pretty awesome journey for me too.
I bet it's a good learning experience.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully at some point when all this kind of clears up, I'd love to get down there and hang out for a bit, because it sounds like I've got a lot to learn off of you.
Yeah, man. We have a good time.
Before I go, I wanted to say a few words about a project that my friend and associate, Riley Carpenter, has started. It is a mail-in shoeboard competition, and unfortunately this will be for our Canadian listeners only, as due to the mail timing restrictions and crossing the border, it just won't be feasible for our friends to the south this round anyway. For the Canadians, if you have been thinking about attempting your certified exam with the AFA, this is the perfect opportunity to have a shoeboard complete, inspected by a certified AFA tester, and ready to submit for your exam. So check it out. I shared it on my Facebook page, and Allie Carpenter has it on hers. The Mullins Farrier podcast will be sponsoring this event by paying the postage for the first round. Good luck to everyone who participates. Well, that's it for now. Take care of yourselves and each other out there. We'll talk soon.